Race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. We're in Innsbruck in Austria, the final European race of the season, and we are ready for our second and deciding heat. Welcome back to Innsbruck, everybody. Martin Haven alongside me, John Morgan, trackside here, watching the action with you. And John, we have an entertaining lead battle with America and Canada dicing for the medals.
Jamie Grubel poser, Asia Evans, you know, the second best start. And she's won on this track before, Grubel poser, and it's quiet lines all the way through and down, and she finds herself in third place. But she's only 100th away from Kaylee Humphries, Melissa Loholtz. They have the exact same start time, but Humphries, a little mistake down lower part of the track, and she finds herself 100th of a second in front of Grubel poser. But the big surprise, not the big surprise, but the person in the lead, well, Alana Myers-Taylor with Lolo Jones in the back. They had the best start by 600ths. And we say there's a 3 times multiplier effect at the bottom. Well, she's ahead by 1800ths at the bottom. So all 3 sleds, Jamie Grubel poser, Kaylee Humphries, and Alana Myers, drove the same lines. These 2, though, had the best start, and that's the equalizer.
4th different break woman for Alana Myers-Taylor on this track in 4 seasons. One of the top 3 has never won here. Yes, Olympic and double world champion Kaylee Humphries has never won on this track. Jamie Grubel poser won 3 years ago, Alana Myers-Taylor 2 years ago. And of our 22 sleds, the 2 that didn't make the cut, 21st and 22nd place, including the last race of the season for Nell Pollison and Lien de Decker. Lien was just telling me they won't be going to the Worlds, they won't be going to Korea. And Asuza of Japan also missing out on the cut. So we have 20 sleds all racked up and ready to go. Just checking the oil and water. Never mind. 6 degrees of air temperature. Doesn't feel like that. Feels more like the 2 degrees that it says down here at the bottom.
They were told to get away from their sled, I think, because that's this park for May, and it ends at a certain time.
Other people working on their sleds behind, so I'm not quite sure what was going on there. Here's Mariama Yamanka, and we were surprised by a late change in the brake woman for Mariama Yamanka, not Annika Dracek. And John, you found out exactly why that happened.
Well, she got hurt in the braking stretch, which is, when you see these sleds come to a stop, you'll understand. She hurt her hip, and they pulled her out right before the race. And that's the equalizer for the Germans. Without her in the field, her drivers just has an average start time, and that's why she's in 5th.
We go 20 down to 1 in the first heat. Last to fast. Alana Myers-Taylor, Lolo Jones will go last. Time here now is 4:15. Sun is nearly setting, and actually the temperature is not going to rise. The track might firm up as the run progresses rather than go away, so that might help our later sliders.
The 2-man event, we saw the times get a ½ second slower in the second run, but that was in the middle of the day.
And sunny, and it's cloudy and cold now. Getting the final run of the European World Cup season underway for women's bobsleigh. 30-year-old Swiss Martina Fonteneve, former brakewoman, and Diana Zolliker, 27-year-old gymnast and trampolinist. Who knew that trampoline led you into bobsleigh? Might be the other way round, actually. Zolliker from Zurich, hence they're in the Zurich Bob Club.
Didn't have a very good start, 19th best start, 77. Much better entry into the sled than she had in the first heat. And I think Martina is just happy to be here this year.
Yeah. Well, she was off the track last year. She started driving the year before last, and then she had a thing called sinus thrombosis, which is a fairly major problem, which sidelined her for the whole of last year. So just thrilled to be back.
Right?
Yeah.
She was thrilled to come and talk to us, take a headshot. Just, you know, passionate about the sport. First run, she had some real problems getting in the sled at the start. These are good lines.
Nice, neat, tidy lines. Track will have been freshly spritzed after the first heat. Little sheen of ice to keep it slick.
So she's the rabbit. She's going to tell us whether or not the track got faster. I think this is just a better run for her, period. 53.94.
She's second better and change.
Yeah, third better. Christoph Langen, the old German coach, now coaching the Swiss.
First year goal of the season.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, those were clean lines. Listen to her. You think they just won the goal.
Well, they drank the Kool-Aid, that's for sure. These girls are here like everyone else because they love the sport.
Start, okay. Get in quickly. The technique, everybody's got a different technique. Boy, the driver is in. Look at the hands come up, choreography.
Way out of the drive lines.
Yeah, she ran too far there.
It's going fast and loose with that. Marina Fonteneve down safely. She leads the race. First of our second heat drivers. Austria's Katrin Beil, 23-year-old newcomer to the team, a former hurdler, 24-year-old brakewoman Valerie Kleiser from Vienna. They were 19th after the first heat, 300ths of a second only separating them from Martina Fonteneve, who had the first run in this second heat.
And the driver has got not a broken foot, but she got a broken bone in her foot before Christmas. She started off the second half of the year. We saw her in St. Moritz sitting in the sled, and she's advanced each week, a couple more steps. Her father, former brakeman for the Austrian bobsled team. 800ths, even though she only had a 300ths better start. Should have been out more than that. Now it's down to 1. Yeah, she did something up top. Cost her some time. See if she can find a Austrian shortcut down here. It's not really going in her favor right now. No, losing a lot of time down here. So she comes down, ducks her head for aerodynamics. That takes a little brave instinct to do that. 54.13, and she's 1100ths better in the second run.
She slips a spot. She won't go any lower than 20th place. No one else outside the top 20 gets a chance to depose the top 20 finishers. Katrin Beil, this is her third World Cup this season, fifth of her career, I believe.
Once the brakeman's in before the driver here. She's taking her time getting in here. Look at her, she gets caught. Oh, there.
Watch the drive lines right at the bottom. Sled still being led as she's getting in.
Now she's got a grasp. She still doesn't have a hold of the D-rings, but it came pretty straight. Can't fault too much there. And then here, look at the skid up top. A little bit of a skid.
Too bad at all from Katrin Beil of Austria, but she's in second place. Maria Constantin of Romania, first of the 2 Romanian sleds we get to in our second heat, race 7 of the Women's Bobsleigh World Cup, with Olivia Wilt behind her. Their teammates, Andrea Greco and Erika Halle, are in 14th position after the first heat.
Well, their nemesis is start times. They're just 21st best start of 22 sleds. She's a great driver.
Huge result for Maria this season, 8th place in Altenburg, her career best in Women's World Cup bobsled.
Look at that cohesion of both of them coming in, arms coming around at the same time. Wow. 584, 500ths worse than their first heat. And, you know, on this track, there's probably a 20% more emphasis on the start than there was in Altenburg. And now she's got to drive perfect lines or she'll succumb to the Swiss at the bottom.
She's got several years of experience, raced in the World Cup, World Championships here. Little skid out of the Kreisel.
Only 400, so she's bleeding more time and hits. Doesn't make too much of an adjustment.
It's not going to help her though. The gap is growing out to 1600s.
She could drop a couple spots here.
Quite possible they don't have runners that really suit the warmer ice today.
Second best time. The Swiss are in the leader's box, enjoying their second run. So she was much better in the second run. It tells you how much of a bad first run she had.
Yeah.
Well, when you have the start deficiency, it's tough to overcome that on this track. This track really changed the sport. Much like AstroTurf changed baseball and football in the United States. Good line here into 8. A little bit of a skid, but here too. This, you know, hits once, sled corrects. Oh, she's got a skid there.
Too many mistakes creeping in. And they were struggling from the start anyway. Maria Constantin drops to 3rd spot, 17 to go. Only 2 Belgian slayers in the second heat. Leander Deck and Neil Paulsen didn't make the cut in what is going to be their final World Cup appearance of the season. Her season ended after the first heat, but Anne van Jernhuis and Elfie Willemsen, 17th and 16th respectively.
And Anne probably had her worst drive down the track of the season. And, you know, with the start's not that bad. 68, she had the 12th best start in the first run, but her downtime. This is a really good pilot who finished 4th at the opening race in Whistler, which is a very difficult track.
She and Misa McNeil basically hit everything there was to hit. Crossed every tick, ticked every box in mistakes down the track. This is tidier.
And as soon as she said it, she tapped that wall. Boy, she got really high on the top of Kreisel. See if she gets a skid here out of 8. Couldn't tell, we can tell the replay.
Little drift out of the Kreisel, out of 9, here she comes.
Pretty
Avoids
good.
the tap.
Much better run.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen one team, oh, there's a tap that's going to force her in the middle of the labyrinths. We saw one team come down 3,500s, the Swiss did. Let's see how many hundreds better she is.
Oh, and spikes the wall on the way out.
So she's only 1,400s better.
Well, could have been 24 if she hadn't hit the wall exiting the final corner.
Yeah, and that was right before the finish line, finish eye.
That'll send you to your dentist for a checkup. I think Don Parsons, who hit the wall there in the skeleton, I think he was probably about 2 inches shorter after that than he was when he started the run. Drilled the wall so hard. That was a glancing blow. And Van Jernhuis takes the lead for Belgium. Now, all the Belgian girls know they're going to struggle on this track.
Well, start times. Watch this little tap right there, and that throws you in the middle of the first labyrinth. You're late here, have to oversteer, can't let the sled run the way you want. And she was out to 4,500s lead, and it came back to 2,700s. A couple mistakes in the bottom part of the track, above the labyrinth and right here, right before the finish line. You know, I mean, it adds up quickly in this track.
Yes, it does. 16 sleds to come, race 7 of the Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. We're in Austria at Innsbruck. Martin Haven and John Morgan watching. Elfie Willemsen, the top Belgian slider, 16th after the first of our 2 heats.
Well, Elfie just doesn't like the track. She's got to get it out of her mind because she just doesn't have good results here. I mean, she's one of the Belgian bullets, and she's famous on a 1,500 meter track for having some of the best speeds at the bottom because she knows how to drive, but on a short track of 1,220 meters, it's pretty tough to overcome a start deficiency. And you need perfect lines. She's 10 hundredths ahead of her teammate. Neither one of them expected to be back this deep in the field.
She was 1,400s up from the first heat, so this drive at the moment is barely as good as Anne van Jernhuis managed.
But Anne had problems there. Elfie didn't.
There we go, her first round lead is back.
See if she doesn't hit here at the finish. Probably 20 hundredths out. 18. So one Belgian sled comes down cleanly, ladies. See you in Konigsee.
Well, Anne's drive was probably the better. Elfie Willemsen only 400s quicker on that run, and the way Anne hit the final wall of the track just before the finishing eye, it should have been a better second heat. Well, they will happily go to Konigsee for the World Championships.
Well, the lines, X of 9, runner tips, look at the spray. That's as good as it gets. She comes down the right side of our screen, her left. You want to be a little bit more in the middle, but didn't tap.
Elfie Willemsen 9th in the last 2 runs, last 2 races on this track. Leads, but there are still 15 sleds to come. 15th after the first heat, little smile and away from Arisha Kimishima, the brakewoman for Maria Oshigiri. Oshigiri having a nice looking first heat. She's raced on this track exactly once before this World Cup appearance. This is her rookie World Cup season. This is now World Cup number 5 for her.
Kimishima, the brakeman, runs an 11,500 meters. She's the the fastest time in Japan right now is 11.2. The Japanese team has really come out of nowhere with a 10th best start time in the first run, 10th best or 10th finish time last week at Konigsee. Very impressive.
5:61, good getaway from them.
This is a Swiss Sidious sled that they've rented, and Hans Wimmer coaching the Japanese. It's the first foreign coach the Japanese bobsled skeleton teams have ever had, and I think the Japanese are starting to understand that the Koreans have all this European influence in their program, and it's time for them to get it too.
Little skiddy, she is 1600s up, but that could be in single digits, exiting the Kreisel. Down to only 15, so she didn't lose much. Renting the sled and runners from Swiss Billy Meyerhans. Looks like she's got a good piece of kit, still 1500s up.
Ooh, that's late there.
Oh, here we go.
This is going to be right to the 100th. What do you call it, snakes and ladders?
Tiny advantage over Elfa Willemsen of 400s from the first heat, and she goes behind. So 53.96 runs, she's a 10 slower.
All right, doesn't like it, but still, these girls are impressive. For them, first time we saw them was 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Listen to them.
Ever race here.
And laugh, have fun. There was 3 Japanese teams in the field last week. One of them hurt her knee. Miyama, she was a former skeleton athlete, and she returned home. But these two Japanese teams are doing pretty good. Skid there in 8, and then into 9. This is a pretty hard hit. Remember, Williamson came right down the middle of that straightaway. That says how they enjoy it.
Yeah. 14 sleds to come here in Innsbruck in Austria. This is Romania's Andrea Grecu with Erika Ale. Grecu just about half a dozen races into her World Cup driving campaign and has only raced on this track once as a driver. In fact, I overstate it. I beg your pardon, Andrea Grecu, this is her 4th ever World Cup as a driver.
66 in the first run, 65 there. The velocity there, but this Romanian team gets a much better start than Maria Constantine, and they're 1900s better at the start. Look at that. What
900s up on the current leader, Elfa Willemsen, from the first heat. It's out to 1300s.
Well, that's relative to the better start. Now it's down at 9. Williamson was very healthy on the way down. Good drive, and that's why she's in the leader box. A couple taps so far for the Romanian, but that's a pretty good exit there.
Still in green numbers, still 900ths of a second the margin.
Down to 8. Gonna get close down here.
Andrea Grecu, her 4th ever World Cup drive, her 2nd ever race here. She has the lead over Elfa Willemsen. No wonder Paul Diago is happy. This is their young gun. Last year she drove a couple of row 1 race and then came back as a brakewoman in the World Championships for Maria Constantine.
And she crashed in Whistler a couple times. They held her out of that competition for the next couple of competitions in general. And here she is, end of the season, starting to show some great improvement. That didn't help there into 8. 8's quite a nemesis for everybody today.
Big smiles from the Romanian girls. They lead with 13 to come. Sabine Hafner of Switzerland with rookie Jasmin Neef. Jasmin making her first ever World Cup start an hour or so ago. Her first race weekend with Sabine Hafner. 13th after the first heat, 100th in hand over current leader Andrea Grecu of Romania.
20th the best start, so it didn't have a very good drive down the track. Picked up some good speed near the bottom, but 78 start, that is really exactly the same as she had the first run, and 4th best velocity, which is some improvement. But this is a very accomplished driver. Her nickname, the Firecracker, when she was an athlete before the 2010 games. And then she went away for 5 years, and now she's an electrical engineer.
Her last World Cup here was 2011. She was in 5th position.
She can drive, but she's going to need to pull it all out right here. Good lines there. She could find this 1500s down here.
Only in 4th place on the split time. She's going to sink down the order. Very disappointing runs
very disappointing
for Sabine Hafner.
She found a little bit. 6th best time of the run, and the Romanian girls are in no man's land.
Yeah.
Look at Christoph Langen.
I'm afraid, from Christoph Langen. That's a little bit disappointing for Sabine Hafner and Jasmin Neef.
Langen left the German team last summer and is now the development coach for the Swiss. It's the first time we've seen him all year.
Yep.
Well, Sabina, not big, and just knows she's going to give up a lot of time at the start, but you talk to her about bobsledding and you think you're talking to somebody who designed the rule book. She's very astute at the rules and the knowledge of the sport. Good entry into the sled by the brakeman, and this skid up top. Can't do that when you have a deficient start.
2 World Cups this year, 13th in Bosch. She was 13th after the first heat, but slips 4 spots. 12 sleds to go as Nadezhda Sergeva of Russia comes to line with Yulia Shoksheva behind her. She's the best placed Russian driver, 4th in World Cup rankings up until last weekend, slipped a place to 5th, but she's not the best ranked Russian driver in this race.
Terrible first run by Sergeva, who I said was one of the most improved drivers in the top 7.
That's what did it there, isn't it? Right there.
Jinxed.
Just that
Commentator
phrase.
jinx.
Used to be a brake woman, braked for her, now coach, who's Victoria Tokovaya standing behind them.
55 start. Well, that's 54 in the first run. The best velocity for brakeman, one of the taller brakemen, track and field sprinter.
Starting among the top half dozen, and that's where she's been finishing all year. A couple of 9th places, 4th, 5th, 6th.
And this is where she made her mistake in the first heat, skidding here at the top of the track. This time, little tap. Boy, she's real high in the takeout. That little tap before Kreisel got her up high.
Got a nice exit into 8. What about exit of corner 9?
37 to 36 hundredths.
Little tap into 10. Height there, up by the woodwork.
Doesn't tap before 11, down to 29. She's losing time back. That exit into the Kreisel didn't help her efforts. She'll be the leader, but I don't know if she's going to move up. 53.68, 900's better. Okay, 7th best speed, but she had it going up top of the track to the entrance to Kreisel. A little tip, and then into Kreisel, looked like the sled got high.
Maybe she still needs just a little more finessing to really get the speed out of the sled on this track.
Okay, this is 9. Little tap here. Gets up to height. Then 10.
Was it her in the woodwork in the first heat?
No, it was, maybe it was her. Yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Somebody was up there.
Yeah.
Misha McNeil, I think, was up there,
she
too.
is. Yeah. Nadezhda Sergeva and Yulia Shoksheva, they have the lead with 11 to come. Junior world champion a week ago, Misha McNeil, with Mika Moore, her then brake woman. Montel Douglas is on the back of the sled this weekend.
One of 2 2008 Beijing Olympic Games participants today. Lolo Jones is coming up.
Well, Misha hit just about everything there was to hit in the first trip. This can only be better, surely.
And it's close all around her. In front of her, behind her.
Yep.
66 start, pretty much the same. 4th best velocity. And of course, her brakeman, Montel Douglas, is just starting to figure out. She probably only got 16 trips or so on a sled. Total, but practice.
Probably not even that. It's only a 3rd World Cup weekend.
And, you know, that power step of the sled, that's technique. You don't just pick up that technique in a couple weeks. But once she learns with her sprinting ability, it's going to be a big addition to the British women's team here.
Okay, the gap's coming back from 15 to 11 hundredths. Needs a decent exit here, gets a decent exit, not the greatest, but it was better by far than her first heat. Still a couple of
she's
tenths.
coming, big speed here. She has a chance.
Only 300s ahead of the Russians in the first heat. Can she hold them off?
No,
not quite. Not a weekend that will rank with last weekend for Misha McNeil of Great Britain.
Sergeva, she could live in there. Sergeva, she could win. She could move up 2 or 3 more spots here.
It is all very tight. Next 2 sleds on ice are tied to the 100th.
Well, Misha McNeil came down 100th apart in 2 runs. That's pretty good lines into 8, so she started to eat into the deficit here, then into 9. She did pretty good, and then on the bottom just couldn't make it happen. This
little skid out of 9, tap on the wall.
Not too bad, though.
No. Certainly
down on the bottom right here. Watch the back end of the sled, see if it gets airborne. Not bad. I mean, we're looking at all good lines, and a little mysteriously, can't understand why she's not the leader.
10 down, 10 to go. Nadezhda Sergeyeva of Russia is our race leader. Race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. We have the final 10 to come to decide the last medals in Europe. Sun has set here, but the clouds are moving away a little, or lightening at least, over the valley over Innsbruck. There's your race leader on the left, Nadezhda Sergeyeva. On the right, Yulia Shoksheva. Well, the Russian's not going to match her career high of 4th place from a couple of weeks ago in Winterberg today. But if she can creep back into the top 10...
Yeah, well, there's one World Cup left, you know, so top 5 in the World Cup standings is, you know, something for her to say it's been a great season.
Yep.
So we're not far right here. Right on the other side of those corners down there is the section where the 76 Olympic Games downhill event was held. And they say that downhill event, won by Franz Klammer, was what launched winter sports viewing in the United States. Franz Klammer, and the call by the late Frank Gifford and Bob Beatty, and everybody that tells me from ABC Sports, that's what made Americans interested in winter sports. Because at that Olympic Games, hard to believe, the Americans only won 3 Winter Olympic Games medals, period.
76, Great Britain only won 1. John Curry, men's figure skating.
Ours was Dorothy Hamill in women's figure skating. Sheila Young in speed skating, a bronze, and this guy named Bill Koch won a bronze medal in cross-country skiing. How I remember that stuff, I don't know.
76 Summer Games, David Wilkie was one of the medalists for Great Britain. He won the men's breaststroke.
It was up in Montreal. I went up to those games.
Yeah, not sure the distance.
Saw George Mount finish 6th in cycling, the road course. So we do have a little cross-reference to sports.
Is there anybody in the sport now who was even born then? I'm not sure where it is.
All the guys in the TV truck were.
Oh, yeah, well, they're all ancient. They're all ancient. There's Sabina Hafner on
the
camera,
firecracker. The firecracker.
beating up her brakewoman. Alicia Rissling of Canada in a tie for 9th place as we get into the final 10 sleds of the European campaign in the Bobsleigh World Cup here in Innsbruck, Austria.
Christine de Bruyn, Alicia Rissling.
Genevieve Thibault.
Well, they're tied here.
Yeah.
So we got 2 Canadian sleds that are tied coming up. So there's a little race within a race, as I like to say it. And
well, they improved their start by 0.04 of a second immediately. That helps them against their teammates and against Nadezhda Sergeyeva, who was a 10th slower in the first heat. Rissling had a
Sergeyeva could move up here. Canadian sleds.
Had a good neat run in the first heat, but that's a little loose.
That 600s is going to swell a 10 or 12 probably.
Nice height in the Kreisel.
Only 6, that's pretty good. For that mistake to not lose that much time.
Don't forget, she was quick at the bottom of the track as well, Rissling.
Green numbers. It's great. Rissling is showing us she's got some ability to go fast. She finished 4th.
She's going to stay in the top 10. She'll be no worse than 10th. 4th and 5th in the season openers in North America.
53.69, 53.67 in the first run. So a couple mistakes up top, but...
Well, for a woman who's only raced on this track once before, that was in the Worlds last year, Alicia Rissling, that was a good drive.
Well, there's the mistake. This is up 4 to 5, then into the Kreisel. 5-6 that was, into 7's the Kreisel, and then 8. This is 9, the exit of 9, and look at that ski jump. It's quite a bump they got there.
I bet they don't even notice when they're driving. Canada leads. Canada will lead after this sled because Alicia Rissling is in the leader's box and Christine de Bruyn, her teammate, is at the top of the track with brakewoman Catherine Medeiros behind her. De Bruyn 16th in the Worlds here last year. That's also her only race on this track.
Husband Ivo competed earlier today for the Netherlands.
Great woman Catherine Medeiros, 25-year-old ex-ski racer and strongman competitor.
In, down quickly. And okay, the 5.66, 5th best start, 5th best velocity. So didn't diminish their speed. They didn't improve it. But now she has to take on her competitor, the bottom track, or her teammate, and she's got to watch out. Any kind of a bad run here, she's going to fall 2 or 3 places.
Well, our Canadian fans up at the top of the track have 2 sleds to cheer on now, and Kaylee Humphries still to come in the final 3. It's been a good weekend so far for Canada. Men's skeleton, Barrett Martineau PB'd on the track. Women in top 3 of them in the top 6 in the skeleton race yesterday.
Justin Cripps, top 6 in the 2-man race. This is 900s. It's going to be close. I don't think she's going to do it, though.
Well, she will go third place. She may drop out of the top 10.
Yeah, Sergeyeva.
So there's Christine de Bruyne on the left.
She lost to the Russian by 100.
Yeah. Another one of your hundreds.
100th. Painful. What did they say about 100th of a second?
Well, at least it's not 1,000th.
Yeah.
That's all I've got.
Watch the brakeman here. Ooh, you know, struggle there at the start. They got to hit that with cohesion and explosion together. Timing is so critical.
Yep. I still think rocking the sled is the best way of getting cohesion.
Well, that's old school. That's really old school.
But it worked.
Ooh, this into 8. She really came down the wrong side of the straightaway. And still a good result.
Christine de Bruyne, Catherine Medeiros drop a couple of spots. We have 8 to come. Final 8 sleds of the European World Cup campaign, cracking on with the USA's Brittany Reinbold and Lauren Gibbs. Big lose out of corner 9. Almost saw them crash out of the first heat. They got away with it. And Reinbold will try and tidy up the high line in corner 9 and in the Kreisel to get some more speed at the bottom. Martin Haven and John Morgan watching the action with you.
5.54 in the first run. 5.58 start velocity, second best velocity off the second best start. Only Sarajevo, the Russian, was better at the start.
Canada's Alicia Rissling leading the field at the moment.
Brittany had a really good run going, clean all the way down the track.
You said it again.
Somehow, curve 9.
I talked to Sepp Potter, and it was about height in the Kreisel, and he said she just got it in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that led her astray.
So right here, coming up is where she made the mistake in the first run.
Much better exit, little skid, but not, I mean, she almost stopped dead in the wall out of 9 on the first heat.
2,500's up. This is what you expect.
Going away from Alicia Rissling.
She could have been the top 6 with a run like this in the first heat.
But you know what? She still might. 53.46. Wow. That's a really good run.
1,400's better.
Yeah.
So, and listen to it. There you go, Brittany.
Yeah, didn't loosen any fillings in that run.
Yeah, but she's always big smile on her face. And other than the skid here at the end, this is quite a bit of improvement. She skidded under the take-on, but still, any kind of friction like that, that's worth 10/100ths at least at the bottom of the track.
Brittany Reinbold, there she is. She leads for the USA with 7 still to come. Christina Hengster and Sanna Decker for Austria, the last remaining Austrian sled in this 7th World Cup of the season for women's bobsleigh. Martin Haven, John Morgan, trackside in Innsbruck in Austria. The girl who crashed in the first heat of last year's World Championships came back to place 6th by the end. Sanna Decker, youth Olympic champion on the back of a bobsleigh in 2012 on this track as well.
Start 64, 5th best start. Let's look at the velocity, 3rd best. So Sanna Decker did her job with the power step in, and Christina Hengster, one of the better pilots on tour, had a very suspect first run on her home track. 400s down, that's relative to the deficiency at the start.
Didn't go so far as to crash it like in the Worlds, but there are a lot of errors.
Ooh, like right there?
Yeah.
4 to 7. She's gonna have to be perfect here. Catch Brittany Reinbold. 8, still bleeding, but there's a little thing down here we call the Austrian shortcut. Let's see if she can find it with big speed.
Oh,
no,
going away.
Not gonna do it. This is very disappointing for her on her home track. Her family, friends are here.
Reinbold, though.
Not second best time, 53.68. Coaches know.
Coaches don't look happy. I met Manfred Meyer's wife earlier on.
Well, that's good because we're always talking about him and not the kids. But you know, the Austrians this morning got a bronze medal in the two-man earlier today.
Yeah, Benny.
His son. So, but Christina wasn't there for you today. You know, mistake up there, top of the track, down here. Ooh, look at that. Yeah. That little adjustment there. Good that was weird. Guys. Maybe she was trying to find that Austrian shortcut, and there's late here.
She got bounced out of that shortcut in both heats. Six sleds to come in race 7 of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup. We're in Austria for the final European race of the World Cup season. Victoria Tokovaya, the coach, holds the sled for the Russians. Brittany Reinbold on the right, Lauren Gibbs on the left, your race leaders for the USA. After a strong run from 8th place, they're on the laughing gas in the leaders box. This is Alexandra Rodionova with first-year brakewoman Anastasia Kochetsova behind her. Former luge athlete Rodionova having one of her best drives this season in the first heat.
Yeah, she's been chasing down her teammate. And her teammates emerged as Russia won, and not today though. 5.60, that's 200ths better. 7th best velocity though, so that's hard. 3rd best start, 7th best velocity. But she had a pretty good drive down the track, and you mentioned she's a former Olympic luger and 32 years old. Probably been down this track 300-400 times as a luge athlete. Probably 50 times as a bobsleigh.
1/10 of a second ahead of Brittany Reinbold. This could still go either way. One tiny mistake, down to 600ths.
Wow.
Could take the lead away from the Russian.
That's pretty good lines there, though. Red numbers, though.
But a much better run from 9 to 10 than Brittany Reinbold.
There,
on the accident, she's late.
Still flying, though. 500ths.
Ooh,
I don't know.
Playing fast and loose with the ice at the line.
1400s
back.
So there's going to be 3 U.S. sleds in the top 6 here.
Okay, Brittany Reinbold's career best 4th place in Lake Placid. She needs to pick 2 more off to match that. Is that possible?
I don't know where this went away. I mean, the bottom part of the track, she was a late one of those labyrinths, but...
Below the Chrysler, it all got away, didn't it?
Yeah, the start...
She was just checking her knee. Did she hit it on the way in? Her right knee, her left knee, rather. No? Yeah, right she did. She whacked it right on the cowl.
And her brakeman's already settling in, and she's not in yet.
She's looking at the first corner that's coming up fast.
And then down here, the back end of the sled.
Pulled it off early there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a airborne. But...
So there's Alexandra Rodionova. Behind her, Anastasia Kochetsova. Kochetsova's a tall brakewoman. 15 down, 5 to go. Brittany Reinbold leads for the USA. Germany's last hope of a medal with Mariama Yamanka and Franziska Bertels, perhaps. Bertels high, stepping away from the line. Late replacement for Annika Dracek, who injured her hip in training yesterday.
She injured her hip in the braking stretch. It's pretty tough to break the sled down there, and with all the sleds that are coming down, that gets chewed up, and she's got a pretty good bruise on her right hip.
Well, Bertels, a winner on this track 4 seasons ago, behind Sandra Kyriasis. Annika Dracek won the World Championship last year.
Well, Jamaica was flying in practice, but she had the start times that she got with her world-class brakeman, and without a start time here, she's not the same athlete at the bottom part of the track.
1900s up on Brittany Reinbold. 1300s is from the first heat. Can she keep the lead alive? Yes.
Good lines. Her start times, 6th best start. She had Annika Dracek on the back. She probably had the best start so far, 53.37. 1000s better than her first run. Lenny Spiess likes that, but you put that Annika Dracek back there. We heard some unbelievable stories about her, the way they measured her when they got her out of the track and field program. And
she definitely fits into the freak department.
Freak, she's a freak. Measurements all the way down.
In the nicest way, Annika.
Yeah, and her Achilles, they're talking about how she's got an Achilles, the stretch is different, but Yamanka's a good driver, but without her start time, she's not the same without Dracek. Good lines here, shows she can drive.
And still in her 2nd World Cup career, don't forget, as a driver, raced here as a brakewoman before. 4 sleds to go. Germany leads. Germany will lead after this because this is Stephanie Schneider, another former brakewoman, and Lisa Marie Buchwitz. Stephanie Schneider's won medals on this track as a brakewoman.
Pretty good start.
Anja Schneider-Heinze got the bronze just 3 years ago.
The third German driver, Senkel, she's not competing either. She hurt her neck.
Yeah.
So the Germans got a little injury-prone situation here with this week on the easiest track in the world.
World Championships 2 weeks away, so they're resting them up. Ooh, little wobble as they loaded from Stephanie Schneider. 550 getaway.
4th best start in the first run. That's the that's the best start of this heat, best velocity. And Stephanie Schneider, accomplished brakeman in her own right, started off the season crashing a couple times. The Whistler broke her collarbone. She still got a shoulder problem. And she also crashed in Winterberg. She missed that race.
She re-injured herself, didn't she? That was her first race back, crashed in training, and yeah.
We liked what we saw from her last year, so she's had an injury-prone season, and that's a late exit she got away with.
We heard it as much as saw it when she fell off 9.
1200s.
Energy out of the sled, half the lead she had getting into the Kreisel. Yamanka might overhaul her. She just stays in front by 200s.
Now, Schneider,
Germany
watch out if she stays healthy.
Go.
They find a brakeman to match up with her.
Yeah.
She's going to be competitive because, you know, this is her 2nd year driving.
Germans with lots of potential in these sleds. Don't forget, with especially Sandra Kiriasis, but Kathleen Martini, Anja Schneider-Heinze, so they had like 15 or 20 years with the same crew of athletes.
She got through this curve 8. She didn't get through there. That Exeter Kreisel got her with that tap in here. I expect her to come crash in the right wall, but she let it go. Came
See the way
straight.
she was favoring her back as she got out of the sled, though? She's got a backache as well. Germany 1, 2, 3 sleds to come, none of them from Europe. North American 3-2-1 after the first heat. Jamie Grubel-Poser won this race 3 years ago with Lauren Williams. She lies in the bronze medal position with her Olympic bronze medal winning brakewoman Asia Evans. This is the crew that were 3rd on ice in Sochi 2014. They're 100th out of a silver medal.
Asia Evans got some great technique here. Watch her get in, get down. Look at that, pretty synchronized right there between the two of them. 5:51. Not the 2nd best start and 2nd best velocity. Schneider beat him, but Jamie Grubel-Poser has won on this track before, and she's in a dead heat really with Kelly Humphreys coming up next. Only 100 separating her and Humphreys.
Gold and bronze on this track in the last 2 World Cup races. She did get a World Championship medal here last year.
Pretty quiet steering there out of Kreisel. See what she does here. That's as good as you can do.
Gap's coming down a little from 1800s at the start.
Oh, now it's flying. Boy, a lot of articulation on that first part of the labyrinth.
She let it fly at the bottom in the first heat. Does again, 53.33, a 10th quicker than the Germans.
1300 slow in her first run. That was a pretty good drive down the track.
I'm sure there's an awful lot of speed left in the track. But Alana Myers-Taylor likes to
another medal at least.
Prove you those things. Yes, guaranteed a medal.
What color to be determined. The next sled's 100th down. The sled after that is 1800s ahead. So it's close. 1800s. Watch the sled split here. No, yeah, right there a little bit. It's like she got in there late. But maybe that's the line. The exit here. Yeah, as you can see the split in the sled.
Fast. Jamie Grubel-Poser, Asia Evans leading the race. Final 2 sleds of the European World Cup campaign. Martin Haven and John Morgan in Innsbruck in Austria, watching Olympic, double Olympic and double world champion Kaylee Humphreys, who has never won on this track. In the last decade, she's had just 3 medals in total.
Great start in the first run, 49. See if they match that.
There's a lot holds her #1 call for brakewoman on the back of the sled.
46.
Yeah.
Watch the velocity, 48.1. Very similar to what they did in the first run. So all hands on deck. That's what she probably told Melissa. And they got the start. It's going to need to be clean.
They got a battle. They're only 100th in front of Jamie Grubel-Poser, the current leader from the first heat.
But they beat Jamie by 500, which is why the lead's 12. Back down to 10, though. Should have been farther ahead with that start advantage, especially on this track. Now she got it back to 11. And the lines are what you would expect out of the two-time Olympic champion.
Kaylee hasn't won for a month. Last victory came
11.
in Altenburg.
This is going to be enough. This is going to be the leader. At least the silver medal today for Kaylee Humphries.
53.20. So guaranteed another medal. Silver last year in the Worlds.
53.19 in the first run, so she's 100th apart in 2 runs.
Silver 4 years ago.
She beat Jamie Grubel-Poser on this heat at the start.
Yeah. All right, 1 to go to decide our winner here.
Well, look at the difference in the start. Took Jamie Grubel-Poser 4.3 seconds to 4.1. You don't think that represents a 1/10 of a second on the bottom of this track? That start acceleration they had was the telltale sign why they are the leaders.
That did feel better. Look better to us as well, Kaylee. Final sled on the ice. Alana Myers-Taylor and Lolo Jones. 4th different brakewoman for Alana in 4 seasons on this track.
Well, Lolo is unbelievable the way she runs with the sled. She runs her feet so low, and I asked her about that. She said, well, that's the hurdler stride.
It's a hurdle drive, isn't it?
So, look at her feet. Look how low her feet are. Never seen anybody run the bobsled like that, but these guys had the best start, 4:30, 5:43 in the first run, 5:43 again. Velocity ties the velocity of the Canadians.
Won the last World Cup race here. She was bronze in the World Championships in February last year. Silver the World Cup race before last.
Boy, she's got a huge lead. This is her race to lose, and this track, you can find ways to throw away a couple tenths, easy.
Well, she is in perhaps the form of her life, John. She's won the last 3 straight races on 3 utterly different tracks.
She crashed in the opening race in Whistler. Since then, she's been 1st or 2nd in every race. Look at these lines. Wow.
She is absolutely flying. 2,500s up. She loses 100th, 2,400s in a second.
She's pulling away.
Corner. It is win number 4 in a row for Alana Myers-Taylor.
Start. She won by 1,200ths at the start, which is 36 at the bottom. She only won by 24. So Kaylee, even though Kelly had the 2nd best starts, Alana's driving. Alana's doing to Kaylee what Kaylee used to do to Alana.
She's won with all 3 Joneses in the team. She's won with Brianna Jones, she's won with Kerry Jones, she's won with Lolo Jones. Is that Lolo's 2nd win with Alana?
Couple Baylor athletes in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times Lolo's won.
I think she was the first of the string. Is she not winning Winterberg?
I don't think she was with. No, I don't think she was with.
That's where internet in the booth would really help. Lolo Jones and Alana Myers-Taylor win for the USA. 4 straight for Alana. Husband Nick Taylor is down here. He just came into town this week, so he'll be very happy to see that.
But she's starting to develop into the driver that Kaylee developed into. Kaylee used to just win everything with the best starts and would get to the bottom. And now Alana had the best starts. Now she's got some driving.
They could look a bit more cheerful, do you think? Absolutely ecstatic, the pair of them. A great start, a great drive from Alana Myers-Taylor.
Well, you got the best time at the top of the track. You have the best opportunity for the best time at the bottom. Just like Francisco Friedrich in the men's race. He had the best time at the top and the best times at the bottom. He blew the field away by 7,500ths. Alana blew the field away by 2,500ths.
Yep. Big margin. 1st to 2nd, 2,500ths between Alana Myers-Taylor and Kaylee Humphries. And then Jamie Grubel-Poser slipped away a little in terms of time, but retains the bronze medal position ahead of Stephanie Schneider, Mariama Yamanka, and Brittany Reinbold, top 6 for the 3rd of the American sleds. That's really good news for the USA. 1-3-6. That's great stuff. Alexandra Rodionova just ahead of Nadezhda Segova by 4 spots, and I wonder if that's enough to change the World Cup rankings. Well, that is how they finished off the final European World Cup. Last one will be a month from now in Korea. 3 American sleds in the top 6. The only thing that could be better is 3 American sleds on the podium. Brittany Reinbold might be a couple of years away from that in terms of her development as a driver.
Brittany drove great, but her start time, her 6th best start, she finished in 6th.
Yep.
You know, Humphries had the 2nd best start, she finished 2nd. Grubel had the 4th best start in the 2nd run and finished in 3rd. Stephanie Schneider, I'm telling, watch out. Because Schneider, but if they match Schneider up with Annika Drazic,
if she gets fit,
if they match up with Drazic, there's going to be some starts that's going to rival Alana Myers.
Absolutely right.
And nothing against Jamaica, but she's not Stephanie Schneider.
No.
And
which is why she came to driving earlier, I think, than Schneider.
Yeah. But Stephanie Schneider overcomes the crashes. She's had 3 or 4 crashes this year in the broken collarbone. She's still got a bad shoulder.
It's turning into a very pretty evening here in the Austrian Tyrol. There down below, as you can see, the city of Innsbruck. Big skateboard event in the middle of the city this weekend as well. Snowboard, I should say.
Yeah, huge tower they built down there, unbelievable.
So we need to send a few skeletons and bobs down there. That would be entertaining. Well, how much big air you can get in a bobsleigh, but I'm sure we'd find out fairly quickly.
It's a very easy track to get down, but you know the picturesque setting, the site of 2 Winter Olympic Games. You know, this is really, you know, we don't maybe say the track is like we like it.
Yep.
But boy, the setting is pretty unbelievable.
And it produces very close races as well. It's so hard to be perfect here. And Alana Myers-Taylor got closest to that goal as she claims her 4th straight win of the season. And that could well move her up into 2nd spot in the World Cup rankings. A beautiful evening in the Austrian Tyrol. Kaylee Humphries continues as our World Cup leader from Jamie Grubel poser. Alana Myers-Taylor up to 3rd ahead of Christina Hengster as Myers-Taylor claims her 4th straight win of the season. Nadezhda Segova still just in front of teammate Alexandra Rodionova, who outpaced her here, but that gap is closing as well. There are the rest of our World Cup points as we go further down the order. So Linda Decker didn't make the cut here in the 2nd heat.
Well, Lolo Jones, great velocity on the back at the starts. Alana needs, but everybody gets great starts with Alana. But Alana, sometimes her driving was a little erratic a few years ago, but on this day, she was driving the best lines, especially in the last run when she pulled away from the field. 1800s lead, and she ended up winning by 25. So she had the best time of both runs.
Alana Myers-Taylor and Lolo Jones. Lolo took the US team to Red Bull's Hangar 7 outside Salzburg after last weekend's racing action. They all had a great evening there. On the right-hand side, Jamie Grubel-Poser and Asia Evans take the bronze medal. And on the left-hand side, silver for Melissa Lottholtz and Kaylee Humphries, with the gold medal going to Alana Myers-Taylor and Lolo Jones. 3rd different Jones she's won a gold with since Christmas. And husband Nick is waiting in the wings as well as we get the smiles from our podium finishers. Last European race in the World Cup. 2 weeks from now, we head to the World Championships, and the World Cup finale is in Pyeongchang in Korea in a month's time. Stay with us here in Innsbruck for all the action from the 4-man competition on Sunday. Till then, from John Morgan, the IBSF TV crew here, I'm Martin Haven saying thank you for joining us. We'll see you for all the action on Sunday morning, bright and early.